Okay, now we're going to look at how to find distance between 2 points on the coordinate plane. So that's our learning target today, is I can find distance on the coordinate plane. So you should have a new notes page in front of you. Besides the reflection one, this should be the distance one. Okay. And the top part of it looks like this. Now there's two different ways to find the distance on the coordinate plane. And I'm going to show you the easiest way first. And this works really well with small numbers. But if you have bigger numbers, you're going to have to do it the second way. So let's look at the first way. The first way to find distance between 2 points is with visual graphing and counting. So the first thing you're going to do is graph both of the points on the coordinate plane. So I have an example down here of what it would look like, what your problem would look like. And it says find the distance between 3, 1 and -1, 1. Okay, so remember that first number is our x value. Okay, it's where we're at on the x-axis. So for 3, 1, we would be to the right 3. And the second number is where we're at on the y-axis. So it's a +1. We would go up 1. There is our first point. And then looking at our second point on the x-axis, it's a -1 first. So we're going to the left 1. And then its y location on the y-axis is a +1, is up 1. So here are our 2 points. Okay. And now that we have them graphed, we want to count the spots between these 2 points. Okay, so I always start with whatever was listed as the first dot. It doesn't really matter either way. So, but I'm going to start with my first dot, my 3, 1. And there's 1 spot, 2 spots, 3 spots, 4 spots. So I had to move 4 spots to the left to get to my other dot. Okay, and because I moved 4 spots, that's my distance. 4 units. Even sometimes they'll just have you put the number. You just put 4. You don't even have to put units. Okay, and that's it. So you just count. If they were up and down from each other, then you would be counting the spots going up or the spots going down. Okay, at this grade level, you're not going to have diagonals. They'll only be on a straight line, either vertical or horizontal. So it'll be really easy to just count those lines. Gets a little trickier with vertical because it's a different way that you count it. But for right now, if it's vertical or horizontal, which is what you'll be seeing, you just count each spot in between those 2 points, and that's your distance. So that's easy peasy. That's the easiest way to do it. Let's look at the other way in case we get some big numbers. All right, so you can set it up as a math problem. So you're either going to be adding or subtracting certain numbers. So our first thing that we need to do is look to see which number in the ordered pair has the same value, the x's or the y. And to have the same value, it doesn't only have to be the same number, it has to have the same sign. It has to be same value, the exact same. So if we look down here at our ordered pairs, our 3, 1 and our -1, 1, which value is the same? Remember, our first number is our x value, and our second number is our y value. Okay, so yes, hopefully you said the y values are the same because 3 and -1 are not the same. That's the x value. But 1 and 1 are the same, and that's our y value. So now that we know which numbers are the same, and there's always going to be one the same for you guys right now because we're only going vertical or horizontal. We're not doing any diagonals this year. Okay, so one of those numbers is going to be the same. Once we know and we look at it and we find which number is the same, circle Y over here because we know Y is the one that's the same. We need to cross out the numbers that have the same value in the ordered pairs. So we need to cross out both the X's or both the Y's, whatever one's the same. Since Y is the same, these ones are the same, I'm going to cross out those ones. Okay, that's your step 2, crossing out those numbers that are the same. Then you need to take the absolute value of the 2 remaining numbers. So the 2 numbers I have left are my X numbers, right? My 3 and my -1. And with absolute value, there is no negative, right? Because it's a distance. So for the absolute value of 3, that's super easy. It's just 3. And for the absolute value of -1, it's just 1, right? It's 1 spot from 0. And this is 3 spots from 0. It's a distance, so there's no negatives. Okay, so we're dealing with these absolute values now of those remaining numbers that were not the same. So this 3 and this 1. Now there's 2 different things that are going to happen. Either they are both going to have the same sign, and we're looking back at the original numbers here, or they're going to have different signs. So they're either going to both be positive, both be negative, or one's positive and one's negative. Well, if they're in the same quadrant on the coordinate plane, we're going to subtract the smaller one from the larger one. Now remember, we're dealing with absolute value. We're subtracting the smaller one from the larger one. But is a +3 and a -1, are those the same sign? Are those both negative or both positive? No, they're different signs. So that means they're not in the same quadrant. So let's look at what we do if they're in different quadrants. So if they are in different quadrants, one's negative, right? In our second pair, we've got a -1. And in our first order pair, we have a +1. So one's negative and one's positive. Doesn't matter which one, but one's negative, one's positive. Okay, then we're going to add the absolute value of those numbers together. Okay, so here we go. We're looking at it. One's negative, one's positive, which means they're in different quadrants, and we need to add their absolute value together. So down here, quadrant location, same or different. Because the signs are different, we're circling different. And because it's different, that means we're going to add. Okay, remember when we're doing this math down here, we are using this absolute value. So we are adding this absolute value of 3 and this absolute value of -1, which is 1. So we have 3 plus 1 equals 4. So that gives us the same distance as before when we counted the spots in between the 2 points. Which for a small one like this, that's what I would suggest doing. Just count the spots in between the 2 numbers. When you're looking at distance, there's not going to be a negative, right? Okay. But I wanted to show you how you would get the same distance here if you set it up as a math problem in case your numbers were larger. All right, so now we're going to do some practice on reflections